Hi everyone and welcome to my reaction to the 5th round draw for the FA Trophy. In this video I am going to have a bit of a chat about my thoughts on who Gateshead I've got and have a bit of a look into the other ties for this round as well. So let's get into this, and of course the Heat, following our victory over Oldham Athletic at the weekend, have been rewarded with a trip to whoever wins between Banbury United and Colville Town. Now, this is most definitely a banana skin. Let's have that right. Banbury were promoted at the end of last season and into the National League North, and they've settled into that league very well. They're sitting just outside of the playoffs at this moment in time. Then you've got Colville, who are no strangers to a shock in cup competitions themselves. Of course, not dumped Notts County out of the FA Cup and Chesterfield out of this competition, so they'll fancy the chances of another National League scalp. Of course, Notts and Chesterfield are up at the top of the league, battling for promotion, whereas we're sort of more down the bottom, fighting against relegation. But the difference is that it was a much changed Notts side and a much changed Chesterfield side, whereas we'll basically go full strength, and which is what something we're not afraid to do. Where you look at like the team we put out against Gloucester in round three, and the team we put out against Oldham at the weekend, and the way we've performed in both games, just absolutely no nonsense. Just go out there and get a job done. And I can see us taking that approach again. Of course, we are going to have to be very cautious, because both will have the home crowd behind them. Either team will be up for it. So, yeah, we're just going to have to be professional on the day, and I think like the way the management team are, the way the players are as well, especially at the minute, I think we will have enough professionalism about us either way to go to wherever and get the job done. I mean, personally, I prefer it to be Colville because either way, it's going to be a hell of a long journey. But Banbury's obviously that bit further, and obviously they are in a higher league at the end of the day. So at this moment in time, I would say Colville, but it's going to be a long day, and it's going to be a very tricky game either way. But I'm looking forward to it. We're in good form just now, so let's just hope we can go down there and to wherever and get the job done. This tie, of course, will be played on Saturday, the 11th of February, so it's being played in place of us coming up against Yeovil Town in the league, so don't show up at the International Stadium on the 11th of February expecting a game against Yeovil, because we will be away from home in the trophy. But anyway, looking at the other ties, there will be a non-National League side in the quarterfinals, as Hungerford Town have been drawn to face Farsley Celtic at home. Of course, National League South versus National League North. Hungerford overcoming a tricky Tamworth test at the weekend, while Farsley Celtic absolutely swept aside Mask United. So both will see this as a winnable tie, but I think because they're at home, I fancy Hungerford to just about get through this one. And the next tie, it is Maidenhead United versus Harrowborough or FC Halifax Town. I think a lot of this for me depends on who gets through that Harrowborough versus Halifax tie. I mean, you'd expect it to be Halifax, but the fact Harrowborough at home, you've got to remember as well, it's this competition it's not unusual for this competition to have lower league teams beating teams from the National League, so it's a tough one to call. But I think by the end of it all, I do fancy Maidenhead to be in the quarterfinals, whoever they face. Then the next tie is it's going to be quite an interesting one for a neutral, in my opinion. It's Southend United versus York City. Potentially the tie at round, really, isn't it? Of course, you've got Southend that are going pretty well in the playoff positions in the National League just now. Then you've got York, who maybe you could say now in a position where they're not going to get in the playoffs in the National League, but they're probably not going to get relegated either. So they may as well just go for it in the FA Trophy, in my opinion. Of course, it is a competition. They do have a very good record in coming out as winners of it in 2012 and 2017, and last season were in the semi-finals. So yeah, it's not like it's perfectly familiar for them to have good runs in this competition, but I think based on the fact it is at Roots Hall, and I do fancy Southend to just shade this one at this moment in time, but that's maybe the prediction I'm maybe least confident about. I must say, of course, York are notably better away from home than they are at the LNAR Community Stadium, so it'll be a very interesting tie, that one. The next up is Eastleigh versus Maidstone United, another all-National League tie. Maidstone, of course, overcoming Notts County on penalties yesterday, albeit a much changed Notts County, but if you go into Meadow Lane and winning, then you've clearly got something about you. So they'll want to carry on this run, but it's not going to be easy travelling to Eastleigh, who are who are not a bad team. Let's be honest, they overcame Braintree Town at the weekend, so I think I'm going to go with Eastleigh for this one, but only just. Then next up, it is Torquay United or Taunton Town versus Barnet. So Barnet, either way, will be facing a trip to the West Country. Taunton Town in the National League South. Torquay United struggling quite a bit in the National League at the minute. I think with this one, I do fancy Barnet to get through whoever it's against. Just think they should have enough to beat Torquay, and they should have enough to beat Taunton as well. And we've got to remember Barnet are doing pretty well at the minute. Think they've not lost a game in any competition since November, so form's with them, momentum's with them. I'm going to say Barnet will be in the quarterfinals. The next up is another all-National League tie, Aldershot Town versus Dorking Wanderers. Two clubs that are maybe sleepwalking their way into a relegation battle in the league, so it could be a tight one. Of course, Aldershot absolutely hammered Dorking in the league when they played each other. I can't remember how long ago it was, but they went to the Meadowbank Stadium, I think it's called, and won pretty easily. So that they'll maybe fancy their chances being at home against Dorking. This one is pretty tough to call. I personally think this one will go to penalties, and from there it really is anyone's guess. Then the final tie is Bracknell Town versus Altrincham. Again, it's a tie that has quite a few similarities with the Banbury or Colville versus Gateshead game, really. Of course, Bracknell, a side that are no strangers to doing well in cup competitions this year. Of course, got to the FA Cup first round and had a tie on the TV against Ipswich. So they'll want to make a good impression against Altrincham. They're obviously at home as well, which definitely helps. But I think Altrincham, obviously going to this, having beaten Wrexham on penalties in the last round, they've maybe you could say gradually improved as the season's gone on. I fancy them to be professional about this and get the job done. So I'm going to go with Altrincham to get into the last day of the competition. But that is that for this video. Let me know who you think's going to be Let me know who you think will eventually be making that walk up to the Royal Box on the 21st of May to pick up the FA Trophy, and might be back tomorrow. Of course, the weather's not looking good at all, so I don't know if I'm going to get to a game, to be perfectly honest with you. But then as well, maybe back on Friday with Sunderland West End versus Horden Community Welfare. But if I don't decide not to go to that, then I'll be back on Saturday with the Gateshead versus Dorking Wanderers game, which is a really big game now. If we win that, it not only helps our survival chances massively, but it really does drag Dorking into it as well. So big game at the bottom of the National League table. But until then, take care, and I will see you later.